Local news that matters on Fox 44 News.
At this place in history, we're in Canaan with Steve Perkins, the executive director of the Vermont Historical Society. Steve, a building with quite the colorful history, and not only referring to its exterior paint is what brings us here this week.
Yes, Mike, we are in Canaan, Vermont, about as far northeast as you can go and stay in the state of Vermont. We're going to be talking about this library. Yeah, one of the oldest buildings in town and really an architectural gem. So Dennis Fuller, who's the chairman of the Canaan Historical Society, is going to meet us here, and he's going to talk about that building and show us inside.
This beautiful shade of yellow that the exterior is painted in is actually the original color.
We think it's the original color. I mean, there's no color photos from the 1840s. Most of the historic buildings that I've seen in Vermont are a shade of yellow. I know Derby did some research. Their building is the same color. It was built in 1846 by a gentleman from Canada. He heard that the stage route was going to be running from Portland, Maine into Montreal. His name was Fernando Jacobs. It was rumored this was a stop on the Underground Railroad. Nothing that we've found would prove that this was. It's very possible, but it's only a mile to the Canadian border.
Yeah.
So, it's hard to believe that someone would stop here before they went into Canada if they could just walk up there. People have found hidden rooms in here, and I think more likely the hidden rooms are from later years. During the Prohibition, at one time there was a smuggling of butter. You couldn't have yellow butter, so people were going to Canada and smuggling butter. And of course, Prohibition, there was a lot of alcohol that was smuggled. My family was involved smuggling alcohol that I've heard. People bragged about that for years.
Quote, end quote, butter.
Yeah. And then how did the Ward family become engaged with this house?
Well, Alice Harvey was her maiden name. They lived here. It was a farm. The Harveys lived here, and this Dr. Ward came to town, became enamored with Alice Harvey, and they were married. And he set up a doctor's office here in the building. So it was Dr. Ward's office here for a number of years. After he died, she lived here with her family. And then when she died in the 1930s, she left this building to the town to be used specifically as she said, as a library and reading room.
Anytime you Google Canaan, the facade of this building often comes up.
Yeah.
So when we say to people, how can you visit the building? It's right in the middle of Canaan.
The bright yellow paint certainly makes it hard to miss.
Yep. It is on the National Register of Historic Places. They can drive over here, or the library has a website.
The Canaan Historical Society is located on the second floor. Much of its collection is from the early years of the local logging industry. We'll look at it next week at This Place in History.
Looking forward to that, Mike. In the meantime, we've got to look at the weekend forecast.